Welcome to Long Story Short. Today, we are stepping into the glittering, jazz-soaked world of 1922 to dissect F. Scott Fitzgerald's masterpiece, The Great Gatsby. Imagine a world defined by endless parties, overflowing bootleg liquor, and spectacular wealth. On the surface, it looks like a glamorous fantasy. But just beneath the expensive silk shirts and the jazz music lies a story of obsession, moral decay, and cold-blooded carelessness. We are going to break down exactly why this tragic summer on Long Island remains the definitive American novel. Long story short, The Great Gatsby is not just a tragic romance. It is an autopsy of the American dream. It shows us that in a society obsessed with status, no amount of money can buy you a new pass. First, let's establish the geography, because in this book, where you live dictates who you are. The story takes place on Long Island, New York, divided into two distinct wealthy neighborhoods separated by a bay. We have East Egg, representing old money. These are people born into massive wealth. They are sophisticated, arrogant, and secure in their social dominance. Across the bay is West Egg, representing new money. This is where the newly rich live. Their mansions are flashier, their parties are wilder, but the East Eggers view them as tacky and completely unrefined. Our narrator is Nick Carraway. Nick is a young, Yale-educated veteran from the Midwest who moves to West Egg to work in the bond business. He considers himself highly moral and claims to reserve judgment on other people. Nick rents a tiny rundown house squeezed between the massive mansions of West Egg, and his immediate neighbor is a mysterious, impossibly wealthy man named Jay Gatsby. Across the bay in East Egg lives Nick's cousin, Daisy Buchanan, and her physically imposing, incredibly wealthy husband, Tom. Tom is the ultimate symbol of old money arrogance. He is a former college football star who is cruel, restless, and openly having an affair. Daisy, on the other hand, is captivating. She has a voice that Nick describes as being full of money, but she is also deeply superficial. When she talks about her infant daughter, she famously says she hopes the girl grows up to be a beautiful little fool, because that is the best thing a girl can be in this world. Tom takes Nick into the city, forcing him to meet his mistress. Her name is Myrtle Wilson. Myrtle is desperate and vulgar, entirely unlike Daisy. She is married to George Wilson, a lifeless, exhausted mechanic. The Wilsons live in a desolate, ash-covered wasteland between West Egg and New York City, known as the Valley of Ashes. Meanwhile, back in West Egg, Gatsby is throwing the most spectacular, extravagant parties the world has ever seen. Hundreds of uninvited guests arrive at his mansion every weekend to drink his illegal champagne and gossip about who he really is. Some say he was a German spy. Others say he killed a man. Eventually, Nick receives a rare, formal invitation. At the party, Nick meets Gatsby. Surprisingly, Gatsby is not a wild partier. He is a young, handsome man with an extraordinarily hopeful smile who stands totally sober at the edge of his own parties, looking out across the water. Through a mutual friend, the cynical golfer Jordan Baker, Nick learns the explosive truth. Gatsby does not care about the parties, or the celebrities, or the alcohol. Every single thing he has built, the mansion, the wealth, the entire persona, was done for one single reason. He is trying to win back Daisy Buchanan. 5 years ago, before the war, a young military officer named James Gatz fell deeply in love with a wealthy Southern debutante named Daisy. But he was poor, and he was sent overseas. While he was away, Daisy grew restless and married Tom Buchanan for his status and extreme wealth. Gatz returned, changed his name to Jay Gatsby, entered the illegal bootlegging business, and made a fortune. He intentionally bought the mansion directly across the bay from Daisy, just so he could stare at the green light at the end of her dock. Gatsby uses Nick to arrange a secret tea party, forcing a reunion with Daisy. The affair instantly reignites. For a few weeks in the heat of the summer, Gatsby believes his ultimate dream has come true. He believes he can literally repeat the past. If Fitzgerald's incredibly rhythmic, beautiful prose is something you want to experience for yourself, and you absolutely should if you want to understand the true tragedy of Gatsby's obsession. I have linked the full audiobook and the physical copy in the description below. Consuming the original text is the only way to feel the true emotional weight of the ending. For now, let's look at the climax that shatters the dream. On the hottest day of the summer, the group drives into New York City and rents a suite at the Plaza Hotel. The tension finally snaps. Tom, who has been investigating Gatsby's illegal business, openly confronts him. Gatsby demands that Daisy tell Tom she never loved him and that she only ever loved Gatsby. But Daisy breaks down. She admits she did love Tom once, just as she loved Gatsby. This shatters Gatsby's illusion. He needs her love to be absolute, and it isn't. Tom, realizing he has won and that Daisy will never leave her comfortable old money life for a bootlegger, arrogantly tells Gatsby to drive Daisy home in his custom yellow car. On the drive back, tragedy strikes. Driving through the Valley of Ashes, Gatsby's yellow car hits and instantly kills Tom's mistress, Myrtle Wilson, who ran into the street thinking Tom was driving. The car doesn't even stop. It speeds away into the night. Later that evening, Gatsby tells Nick the absolute truth. Gatsby wasn't driving. Daisy was behind the wheel. But Gatsby, driven by his blinding devotion, refuses to let her take the blame. He plans to take the fall for the woman he loves. But Tom Buchanan ensures he never gets the chance. Tom deliberately tells a grief-crazed, armed George Wilson that the yellow car belonged to Jay Gatsby. The next day, as the summer officially ends and the autumn leaves begin to fall, Gatsby is swimming in his pool, waiting for a phone call from Daisy that will never come. George Wilson sneaks onto the property, shoots and kills Gatsby, and then turns the gun on himself. The aftermath is the most damning critique of the Roaring Twenties. Despite the hundreds of people who drank Gatsby's liquor and ate his food, almost no one comes to his funeral. Only Nick, Gatsby's elderly father, and one partygoer show up. Daisy doesn't even send a flower. She and Tom pack up their bags and leave town. As Nick says, they were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness and let other people clean up the mess they had made. Clear his throat. To guarantee an A on your final essay, you need to master 3 foundational symbols from the text. First, the green light. Located at the end of Daisy's dock, this is the most famous symbol in American literature. For Gatsby, it represents his unattainable dream of winning Daisy back and recapturing the past. On a broader scale, it represents the American dream itself. The belief that if we just reach far enough and work hard enough, we can achieve our ultimate desires. But just as the light is always out of Gatsby's physical reach, Fitzgerald is arguing that the pure American dream is an illusion. Second, the Valley of Ashes. This is the desolate industrial wasteland between West Egg and New York City. It represents the moral and social decay that results from the uninhibited pursuit of wealth. It is the ugly reality of the working class people like George and Myrtle Wilson who are crushed, used, and literally killed by the careless actions of the wealthy elite. Third, the eyes of Dr. T. J. Eckleburg. This is a faded, massive billboard of an optometrist overlooking the Valley of Ashes. Throughout the novel, these giant, disembodied blue eyes serve as a haunting symbol of a forgotten god. They stared down at the moral corruption, the adultery, and the eventual murder, seeing everything but doing absolutely nothing to stop it. It symbolizes a society that has abandoned its spirituality in favor of materialism. The ultimate takeaway for your finals? The Great Gatsby is a tragedy about the collision between romantic illusion and harsh, careless reality. Gatsby was a criminal, but Nick ultimately judges him as better than the rest of them because Gatsby actually believed in something pure. He had an extraordinary gift for hope. If you have a paper or a test coming up, watching a summary gets you the plot, but reading Fitzgerald's actual prose is where you master the material. Click the Amazon or Audible link in the description to get the full version of The Great Gatsby right now. That is the long story short. Please like and subscribe for more literature breakdowns. See you in the next one.